Hey guys, how's it going? This is StarcraftCove here with another replay commentary for you. This is going to be a 1 versus 1, actually a mirror matchup, Zerg versus Zerg on Delta Quadrant, and this is going to be my first 1 versus 1 ladder match for my channel, StarcraftCove. So, hopefully I'll actually be able to catch all of the action, since I know I have been kind of slacking on that on a couple of my other replays. So I apologize for that. I know I'm just starting out and I definitely need some more practice, and that's completely my intention with this channel. So I thought this was a pretty good example of the Zerg versus Zerg mirror matchup. I thought we both played it pretty well, fairly well. We both have our definite strengths and weaknesses. I'm sending out an early scout here just because in Zerg versus Zerg it can be really depressing. I've been getting more and more wary of getting rushed with a 6 or a 10 pool, just because I try to go, when I'm playing Zerg versus Zerg, I really try to go more of a one-base macro style of play, because I think that's a pretty strong one, and one that catches a lot of people off guard. So I'm going to be scouting down here, and luckily I did send this drone out because we both sent our overlords in the completely opposite direction that we needed to, since we are north and south of each other. And also, so he's throwing down his spawning pool right here, so I'm obviously going to be able to scout that. And he threw that down pretty quick. That looked like either a 12 or a 13 spawning pool. 13 is obviously a bit more standard. That's where people usually throw it down. However, I'm doing the like I mentioned, I'm doing more of a single base macro kind of game. So I did the 14 extractor, 14 pool build, and he is now going to be moving up into my base to scout exactly that. And I can be kind of chatty in my game, so I hope you guys don't mind that too much. But I really think it just, at least for me, it helps lighten the mood just a little bit. Makes it a bit more enjoyable. So anyway, he's going to run off with a bit of minerals here. He's just going to hang out and telling him peace out. Have a good one, dude. So he's still scouting in this direction, which is kind of interesting because I'm obviously up here. And he's apparently kind of confused by that peace out, but whatever. So now that my spawning pool has it's just recently finished, I'm gonna start pumping out my queen and put down a spine crawler, excuse me, as soon as possible, because like I mentioned, I really like the single base macro kind of game, and really if you get an early spine crawler, it just defends against a lot of, it just shuts down a lot of early aggression. So that'll just allow me to continue to pump out just more and more drones as much as possible. And as you could probably tell, I do think it's a bit more fun to go more the Zergling into Baneling kind of game, just because it requires a bit more micro skill, and it's always good practice to be able to micro that. And I did get these 2 Zerglings, just because I think just getting 2 Zerglings is really low overhead early on, and it's just great for scouting, except they're going to run in here and get destroyed by these roaches. But that actually did me a huge amount of good, because I otherwise would not have noticed these, because my overlord is probably a bit too, let's see actually here. Klooms here. Yeah, let's see here. Crap. So, okay, I could actually see these roaches right here, but that was a great indicator that, hey, I actually need to, I think as soon as I saw those roaches kill my Zerglings, I just stopped production on the Baneling nest and switched straight over to the Roach Warren, because honestly, Banelings are pretty worthless, and roaches are early on the only thing that you really want to use to counter other roaches. So let's switch back over to the everyone view, and I'm seeing these roaches move out. So I put down these spine crawlers, excuse me. As soon as I saw those roaches as well, just because I knew that, I'm not going to have the roaches in time, because I'm going to need to pump those out from scratch. I need to put down the building first and then start pumping them out. But these spine crawlers should be able to protect me fairly well until I have enough units out. Check out his base real quick. But this, I probably should have expected this, so kind of a dumb move on my part. I'm not really protecting my back, so he's going to be able to come back here and probably snipe out this Roach Warren, which is going to be a huge hit to me, because, well, I can't really do anything without roaches until until I get the roaches to really counter him. So I lost my queen right there, which is a pretty bad mistake. You really don't want to be losing your queen in Zerg versus Zerg. That really is the only thing that actually allows you to pump out more units, more drones, more units, more attacking units, everything. Then, wow, nice pick off there for that last roach. Than your opponent. So for macro, queens are ridiculously important, and I'm still not producing another one, which I should really start working on that as soon as possible. There it is. So starting that queen, and now I'm still chasing down these roaches over here with the roaches that I made to defend, which is usually you know, if you handily repel an attack, just follow them back to their base. You know, if they push you out like this, then just get the hell out of there. But otherwise, it's a great opportunity for scouting. It's a great opportunity to possibly catch them off guard, just because if you're able to repel their attack, they probably weren't making they probably weren't making more defensive units or offensive units. And usually people, when they push out, they like to throw down an expansion, which is a good practice, don't get me wrong. But if you are able to, you know, completely repel an attack, then it's usually a good opportunity to take out an expo if you get the chance. So anyway, he is still producing more roaches as well, and he's starting to throw down his expansion first. So when, oh man, I didn't even notice this. He got a spire. So let's see here. He's just now starting to produce his first 3 mutalisks, which mutalisks are a huge game changer. And I'm running a Zergling in here just to scout out, see what he's got going on. So I do know he has his spire out. I think that the Zergling is the one that originally noticed it. So that is awesomely good news for me, because I'm able to put down these spore crawlers. I think I already had this one up just because I figured since he was going for more of an early roach push, and he's more of an aggressive player, that I might be needing a spore crawler. And hey, look at that, turns out I do. So that was kind of lucky for me, but definitely good that I was able to get the spore crawlers out in time to defend my base. And against 3 mutalisks, just 2 queens. Oh, there's 5 mutalisks, but still 2 queens and a spore crawler, if I need to fall back to it, is going to be able to defend this just fine. So meanwhile, his expansion just went down. Let's see here. He killed off my creep tumor right here. And in Zerg versus Zerg matchups, creep is a really interesting dynamic too, because, you know, if your opponent's going all air, then they definitely don't want you to have any creep. They don't want you to have any sort of roach hydra mobility that will allow you to get to their base faster, just because it does them almost no good. So you really want to try to spread the creep and keep mutas. Try to keep mutas off your creep, off killing all your creep off as much as possible. So mutas, they're obviously infinitely stronger than roaches, just because roaches can't attack them. But honestly, they take forever to actually kill roaches. So that's one just slight good thing about that dynamic there. So I obviously can see exactly how many mutalisks and how many roaches he has, and that he's put down this this expansion here. Let's just take a look at the units. So that push actually did quite a bit of good. I'm really glad I was able to get in there and take out a bunch of his harvesters and do a bit of a hit to his economy, because for me to stay in this game, especially with those mutalisks out, I need to be able to expand and get my economy caught up as much as possible, as soon as I possibly can. So this is why I'm going to be destroying these rocks, because I know this is going to be an easier expansion for me to defend than this one would be. That's actually, you know, either one of them would be a potential defensible position, especially because you have this cliff over here that could defend this as well. But I just want to have my options open. So let's see here. So I'm still staying. I did get out my hydralisk den. So see on the production tab, I do have 5 hydralisks coming out which is going to allow me to actually do something outside of my base against these mutalisks. And he's got quite a good number of mutalisks here now, so that is fairly intimidating. They are just hanging out waiting to kill the rocks, which is interesting. So I did actually tell my hydras to just sit here and wait, and just so they could immediately attack as soon as these hydras come in, which I think is a pretty good idea, because if you tell them to attack command or just right click on these rocks, they'll just continue to attack until the rocks are dead, or until you tell them to do otherwise. So that can really leave them way vulnerable to Mutalisks, which is definitely a bad idea. Meanwhile, he's just producing more Mutalisks, and the thing about Mutalisks is they can be extremely effective, especially at keeping your opponent inside one base. So this is definitely what I need to be able to do. I definitely need to get this expansion up. Otherwise, like I mentioned before, I'm just not going to be able to stay in this game. So I'm working on